Hi everyone, welcome into this week's my weekly CBS Fix. I hope you had a great week. In this week's Parshas Emor, the Torah tells us the different laws of the Kohen, the priest that served in the temple. There was the regular Kohen, the Kohen Hedyot, the ordinary Kohen, and then there was the Kohen Gadol, the high priest. He was even holier. Now, the law for the ordinary Kohen, or one of the laws, is that when it came to marriage, it was forbidden for a regular Kohen to marry a divorcee. When it came to the Kohen Gadol, the high priest, not only was he forbidden to marry a divorcee, it was also forbidden for him to marry a widow. And of course, we want to know why. Now, Rabbi Yehuda Chassid, who was a commentator lived back in the 13th century, he says something that is completely astounding. And he says that while the Kohen Gadol would perform his service, he would be performing his service on Yom Kippur in the temple, the holiest day, the holiest places, the holiest man, and he would actually have to say out the name of Hashem, the name that we're actually not allowed to pronounce as it's actually written, but on Yom Kippur, because it was the holiest day of the year, he would actually say it. And there's a possibility that while he was saying that name, listen to this is amazing. While he's saying that name, he may have actually had his eyes, he may have seen a woman who he actually would want to marry, and while he's saying Hashem's unmentionable name, he thinks about that woman's husband in order that that woman's husband should then die, and then she would be permitted to him to be able to marry. Because after all, he's only not allowed to marry a divorcee. But now the Torah is adding he also can't marry a widow. For this reason, that he might think of another woman, then while he's saying the unmentionable name of Hashem, think of this woman's husband, that way he will die, because that's how powerful the name of Hashem is, and then he's got free clear, he's able to marry this woman. Now, and therefore the Torah says, you also can't marry a widow, and therefore this will ensure that this never happens. Now, we have to ask ourselves, like, one second, what is going on over here? This is the holiest man on the holiest day of the year in the holiest place, and he should think such a thought? I mean, from our own perspective, from our own lives, we know that we've gone through, whether we've gotten married or whether we've made a circumcision, a bris, or whether we have made a bar mitzvah for our children, we feel like we're on such a lofty level that we don't even have time for bad thoughts. And we're going to say this about the Kohen. Not only that, the Talmud states that the Kohen on that day, when he's serving in the temple on Yom Kippur, he had divine inspiration, Ruach HaKodesh. He was also like a heavenly flame that was similar to the Seraphim, the certain angels. It's standing in front of the holy throne of glory, in front of the Kisa HaKavod. We're talking about somebody who was above, in a certain sense, being human. He was angel-like. So how can we understand this teaching of Rabbi Yehuda Chassid, Rabbi Yehuda the Pious, that's telling us that the reason that the Torah mandated that a Kohen is not allowed to marry a widow is because he may have this thought? Now, of course, if you have any answers, please share them with me, because I'm trying to work on this, and I've asked a couple of people. But the one answer that came to me that I wanted to share with you is that it's so paramount for us to understand that exactly is the power of the Yetzer Hara. The Yetzer Hara tries to attack us at our most holy times. At the times that we're trying to be the most holy, that is specifically the time that the Yetzer Hara will try to attack us. Why? Because he doesn't want us to be holy. He doesn't want us to do the will of Hashem. And so therefore, he'll make us even think, us men at least, I'm sure a lot of girls watching this are like, yeah, I completely don't understand this, but that's how Hashem built men. And at the time that we're trying to be the most holy, that's exactly when the Yetzer Hara attacks. And you girls, and certainly the guys out there, you actually have experienced this at times. How many times have you davened Shemoneh Esrei? How many times have you been standing in front of Hashem praying and your mind wanders off? Now as your mind wanders off, your mind even thinks of sinful things. You're standing Shemoneh Esrei, and the men, you guys are also wearing your tefillin, and you're wearing your talis, and you're standing cloaked in a whole bunch of holiness, and you're having the worst thoughts. And when are they coming to you? They're coming to you in the middle of Shemoneh Esrei. in middle of the prayer that you're saying, the most important prayer of the day, or when you're saying the Shema, the Holy Shema, you're covering your eyes and you're thinking the worst things. The answer is that it's built in. It's built in that wherever there's holiness, there's also going to be the Yetzer Hara. There's also going to be a defilement. There's also going to, and that is Hashem testing us. Hashem wants us to remain holy. He wants us to remain pure. He wants us to work so hard at it in order that we should get reward for it. But it's to the point that even the holiest man, the Kohen Gadol, in the holiest place on the holiest day of the year, may have this completely obscure thought. And so therefore, we have to know, it's therefore a sign for us. If you want to know if you're doing something good, try to find out how much you're being distracted by the Yetzer Hara. How much is it convincing you not to try to do this mitzvah or not to try to have this certain holy thought? It certainly takes a little bit more time to delve into, but it was just a thought I wanted to share with you. Have an amazing Shabbos, and if the Yetzer Hara tries to distract you and to detract you from your holy Shabbos, it just proves how holy Shabbos is. So hold on to it. Have a great Shabbos. Thank you for listening. And God willing, I will talk to you next week. Thanks.